Hello there, kitties. How are y'all doing? I know it's been a while since I've last recorded. I hope you have been surviving this full moon that I'm doing this delayed reading for today, as well as, felt that big rush of energy around that 444 portal we actually had. What was that, about a week ago now? I can't believe it. But yes, to say that I have been going through upgrades, changes, awakening symptoms would be an understatement. I'm doing great, I'm doing well, so don't get too worried or too scared. However, if you're wondering, why I haven't been able to get my full moon reading up or why I haven't been able to get my weekly messages done, is essentially Spirit, came in with a lot of these events and once again ordered me to rest, put me to bed, as well as literally, you know, so now yes, I'm back in my room here in Armbol that I've been staying in. Um, but what is it? A couple days ago, I walked through a little cliff or a mountain to get to just like literally the town next door. But I need to bring over, a bag and some stuff that a friend left here, who moved to a different spot to this area, and I wanted to catch up with them, see how they're doing. And I ended up spending time out there with, there were about four friends over there. Two I knew previously, due to where I'm currently staying, and then I made two new friends because they're all kind of staying in these side by side little places or apartments, if you will. And it was just so lovely, y'all, to be grounded by the universe, being slowed down with the universe, to have to confront a lot of my type A, go, go, go energies and behaviors. I'm still unlearning and releasing a lot of this guilt and shame around, okay, if it's too long since I've produced something, air quotes, right? If it's been too long since I've done something productive, conventionally productive, I'm still learning how to let go of that and not make me feel like a bad person or a lazy person. Essentially, letting go of the guilt when I do take periods of time to rest, when I do take periods of time to socialize, when I do take periods of time to be in community. So while I was out there, I had no Wi-Fi. So data connection is limited to the phone, and you got to be mindful of your data limits. Not to mention, to the greatest extent possible, I don't like doing a whole bunch of serious tasks, on my phone. I know many people do. There's many apps and what have you. And I will do it, when I need to, but generally speaking, it's not that fun. My screen has already gotten a little cracked out here in India. And, you really can't be doing all that serious heavy lifting anyway if you don't have Wi-Fi, because, let's be honest, most stuff is requiring, or the heavy things are requiring a lot of internet work, or even just a lot of internet research to figure out what to do. So essentially, I went there thinking I was going to stay for a night, ended up there for 2 nights. And while I was there, I did get to see the full moon, and it was beautiful. So I hope you all, even though I know it's not full right now, please make sure you're spending some time catching it. This full moon, and I'm on topic now, don't worry, but this full moon is a super pink moon, or it was a super pink moon. And what night was it? I don't know. I would say even the night before it was the official full moon night here. The moon was looking super full anyway, and I saw it in the sky, chilling on the porch, with the folks I was staying with, and I was like, look at how pink it is. It's beautiful. Look at that rose quartz energy that is visibly radiating off of the moon. And one of the folks even went and got their rose quartz crystal and brought it out to charge overnight, which was amazing. It was amazing piece of rose quartz. And so even just based off of the fact that it is a super full moon, a super pink moon in and of itself, and the rose quartz energy is visible, to me that was a clear invitation and message about the importance of unconditional love, stepping into love in that moment as we do our full moon reflections. How are we doing so from a place of love, from a place of acceptance, from a place of loving and accepting our journey and our path thus far? Even if we are not as far along with our goals and our manifestations that we would like to be, what is this full moon giving to us to be grateful for and to extend love upon, if you will? A lot of this had to deal with, pardon me if I'm slowing down because I'm also like remembering, the research I did. And another big aspect of the full moon, I was saying, is the relationship aspect. So we know when it comes to love, unconditional love, rose quartz, of course it always needs to begin internally with the self. You got to take care of your own house first before you're worried about guests and company and all that sort of stuff. But this does have a lot of Venus energy attached to it with this moon and with this love theme, and a lot of relationship balancing, a lot of relationship healing, a lot of relationship review. And I think that even built off of the weekly message I had for the last video I did that was talking about being mindful of the company you keep. So I believe this full moon was really bringing us to a point for us to truly reflect on, how am I spending my time? Who am I spending it with? And that includes our individual selves. Like, am I intentionally spending enough time working on, and not even just working on, but working with Dil Divine? Am I connecting with Dil Divine, holding space for their growth, their process, their journey, holding them in love, holding them in unconditional love, acceptance, grace, and compassion? Am I being a friend to myself? In addition to, am I being a good friend to others out in the world? Am I being friendly during a time in which we have truly taken physical distancing to mean social distancing? And I saw a meme today that really just put that message on blast for me, is that we're calling all these policies social distancing, and they are having that effect, but it's carrying over, of course, psychologically and emotionally in a lot of places and spaces. I'm choosing not to tune into those, and instead surrounding myself as best as I can with community, communal vibes, through digital means, mainly, but really making sure that I'm not allowing physical distance to amplify this social distance and isolation in a negative extreme. We have to be judicious and diligent about who we share our information with, who we share our energy with, and who we spend our time with. So that really became amplified under this super full moon, because while I was out there with that group of friends, I was torn between where I had like this big desire to be back in my comfort zone in the room I've been staying in, back to my computer, back to being able to create or work on videos. Like, I was starting to feel like a little bit antsy, if you will. But when I breathed and I calmed down and I remembered to ground myself, or when I was in active conversations and heart-to-hearts with people I was staying with out there, I recognized, I was called here for a reason. I chose to stay here for a reason, to really absorb this love, to share these bonds, to be re-inspired and reinvigorated by people who just give so freely and generously, and everybody's allowed to contribute what they can. Everyone can pull their weight, whether it's washing a dish, cooking food, walking to the store to pick up water. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's so many different things that we all do to contribute, and it's all just love. It's all just love. And I needed to be in that space again, versus, no tea, no shade, but sometimes in the more recent weeks with the quarantine and the resource scarcity out here, it's been a balance of pulling together resources and collaborating and sharing space with folks, while also still feeling welcome to do so, and not feeling worried like, okay, I don't have a kitchen, but is it okay for me to be in here right now? I don't have a kitchen, but is it okay if I do the dishes here? Will that count enough in folks' eyes? Will it matter enough? Will it be enough? And I felt bad, and that's why I went to go visit these friends, because I missed them, because whenever they were around, we had deep, real, authentic heart-to-hearts, and there was never this over obsession with being enough. So making sure with this super full moon energy that you are really analyzing who and in what spaces make you feel more than enough versus which are constantly making you feel less than enough. And I'm not saying that, all of the less than enough moments have to be so negative, because sometimes they are really illuminating to us and they spark drive and passion and creativity, and we're like, where something goes off in us, we're like, I know I'm more than this. I know I'm better than this. I'm going to do better, or I'm going to take this inspired action to manifest this part of my dream or this part of my intention. That's all really healthy and amazing. But then there's the other extreme where it's like, okay, is something dragging me down, making me too insecure, too critical? Is it making me slow up in a way that blocks my flow versus like takes it to the next level and keeps it going? So those are some things that I noticed personally with the full moon. And now just to kind of get to some things I did find on Instagram that I'm gonna put the usernames in the comment description below as per usual. So I'll whip through these key things, and then we're gonna jump right into reading. I hope you all don't mind all the storytelling in the beginning, but it's just been a while since our last update, and I want to give you some information for those of you who are curious about this aspect of the work. So in addition to what I was saying, some of the key things to note. So this is the brightest full moon we're going to have all year, so it's the biggest and brightest. So let that mean something to you in the sense of like the biggest and brightest is also all about love, unconditional love, this pink rose quartz energy. So we really need to be focusing on the love right now and making sure we're carrying that forward throughout all the different lunar cycles we have in this year. But I believe it's important that also as the first full moon of spring, that it is bringing in this bountiful, loving energy, this bountiful time of taking a break and taking some space for yourself and figuring out, okay, where do I want to grow? Where am I best growing? What is the optimal quote-unquote soil for me to plant my seeds in, plant my roots in, and kind of take hold and maximize all of the sunlight and warmth that's flowing in now with this season change. This has been so full moons in general are all about releasing, right? It's about releasing and then recognizing our manifestations. Like, what have we manifested thus far? What have we wanted to manifest? Where have we come up short? Where have we missed the mark? Where has there been a detour and or a change? And how do I just best adapt to that? So what else was there? So the difference between new moons and full moons for me is new moons really all about like because they do play, it's so crazy. The new moons to me are all about really setting the intentions and honoring the new beginning and coming out of the void and getting the illumination over time, versus the full moon, now that everything is illuminated in this recent cycle of creation or whatever, now it's more like, okay, what worked, what didn't, what to let go of versus what to keep, how am I feeling, how do I celebrate my success thus far, how do I take accountability for not being where I want to be yet, but how do I make sure I'm putting myself in the right energy, in the right spaces where I don't wallow on where I'm not, but instead keep focusing on the feelings of where I want to be, and then taking inspired action daily to make that manifest and bring it into reality. Like, full moons are all about really tracking, checking, updating your manifestations and letting go of what does not serve. So I hope that makes sense. I hope you can get a little bit of the energetic difference with that. Again, I'm not an astrologer, so make sure you check out the usernames I tagged below for more of their expertise. Making sure during this time you really do take the time to prioritize and plan, focusing on the big picture and what really matters. So essentially this is like a taking inventory moment of your life. You taking inventory of where you're at in relation to where you want to be, who you are in relation to who you want to be, who are you around in addition to who are the people or types of people you want to be around. And the important part about it is like, how do all those different things make you feel? Because everything has to come down to the feeling. You know, it's not just about logic. It's not just about letting the mind run rampant, doing what you are supposed to do. It's like, no, we're being called to step more into ourselves. What do we truly love? What gives and receives love? What are spaces, places, activities that have that exchange principle really active? Understand that not everybody can get there or is not there yet on their journey, but we can still use these times to gain more clarity and learn how to navigate this contrast with greater grace and ease and support. Lastly, before we jump into this reading, I will share a quote by Lao Tzu that was shared on Instagram by Katie Abedin and Soul Guidance. The quote reads, "When I let go of what I am, I become what I might be." When I let go of what I am, I become what I might be. So that one, I felt, that one just really hit me hard because I have been, you know, feeling these ascension symptoms pretty tough these last 2 weeks, and going through I had a little bit of a dark night of the soul moment last night, and seeing all this stuff about releasing and even being in that moment last night, I had the option where I was like, okay, I could either let the anxiety and the fear just take me out for the entire night, possibly this week, and get really, really freaked out and worried, or I can hold space for the worry, let out those emotions, which I did, and then pivot to things that would raise my vibration and strengthen my faith. So essentially that's what I ended up having to do, and recognizing, okay, my previous decisions and the previous versions of myself got me up until this point. But who I was then is not who I am now, nor who I want to be moving further, at least not in total. So let me meditate, let me pray, let me laugh and watch a show, a video, let me talk to my mother, let me talk to trusted loved ones, people who keep my vibration developing and going in the right direction. So if any of y'all were dealing with like these highs and lows energetically, where you're feeling really good about yourself and you feel on the path, but then something's coming along to test you, check you, frustrate you, bouncing between joys and then trials and tribulations, balancing between, okay, having a creative and or productive streak, and then like socializing and worrying, oh my God, am I getting too off course? Am I falling behind? Am I distracting myself? Breathe, relax, and understand that we are relearning balance right now. We are relearning. This super moon, thank you, here it comes through. Thank you, Spirit. Nerves are finally getting gone. This full moon was in Libra, y'all. Libra is all about justice, about balance, about karma. Like Libra is the scales. So if we've been feeling like imbalance in a certain aspect of life, this full moon is bringing it up to the surface. If we've been having extremes where we jump from one to the other, this full moon is also bringing that up to illumination. Because sometimes we think we're really balanced in life, when in reality we're jumping like from one extreme to another in perhaps quick succession, and confusing that with a more healthy and sustainable balance. So that's something I'm still really tweaking and working through, and that's been, you know, my lesson really March forward, or February forward, has been finessing balance. Time for me and myself and my projects, time for and with others in community. So take note of that. If you are really just like bouncing all over the place and you're wondering, why do I feel really on top of things one minute and then out of sorts the next? Libra is going to come in with that energy, or it has with this full moon especially, to give you the perspective, give you the tools, as well as the unconditional loving support to overcome these obstacles and barriers, so that you can have a newer balance that really does work optimally for you and allows you to do what you came here to do. Like, we have We have the ability to choose suffering or the ability to choose joy. And last night, I was suffering, y'all, but I was like, I choose joy. I choose joy. I'm not going to stay here. I'm not going to let this go. I'm not going to let this money frustration make me lose sight and connection to source, to my highest self, to the abundance that I am and that I experience every day. Okay? So really just ground into loving energy, ground into gratitude, ground into yourself, and let go and ask yourself, since that new moon, what have I manifested? What have I progressed on? What have I not? And why? Where have I had strides? Where have I hit walls? Where have I moved forward? And where have I slowed down? And why? Reflect on it. Keep building. Keep building between these moon cycles. All right, y'all. So I'm going to make sure I put a timestamp in the description box below, because I know this was a longer chit chat with you all. I probably should have looked at the camera, but my hair's a little crazy and catted. But I really just felt like I needed to kind of talk to you all today. I don't know why. Maybe it's because with this supermoon, this Libra supermoon, and the love, like this relationship energy, this Venus energy that was coming through. You know, I felt that even though at one point I was nervous while visiting my friend, I'll shuffle while we chat, where I was feeling, you know, a little bit stir crazy, wanting to get back to do work and stuff, I realized, like, no, I need to be in this community, this healing space, because it's making me feel like a really good person right now. And I've been feeling a little bit more lonely and lonesome out here. And so I needed to kind of go back into a place where people spoke, as well as created space for me to speak, and we all legitimately enjoyed hearing from each other. I haven't had like that level of dialogue in a while, and I was even commenting on it out there with such gratitude and love. So make sure you all are really connecting with people who make you feel like your full and authentic self, and bring that loving energy to the forefront. So just as a heads up, in case y'all are curious, this is the Moon card. Okay, this is from the Mother Earth Oracle by Franco Marino. I actually got this randomly here in India. I'll make sure I take a picture at the end, because I know it's Blur City with my camera, so I apologize. But yes, I just felt like we needed a moon icon at the top. I wanted to make sure I did that this time. So we've got some moonstone, some rose quartz, and some selenite, just to set the scene. All right, so we're gonna do this like last time, and I'm gonna keep an eye on this camera, because I think I'm learning the trick that it cuts off automatically around 30 minutes and then starts a new file. So I'll make sure I keep an eye on that. But so we're gonna do this like last time. We're gonna take one pop-out card to see, okay, what is this Libra full moon wanting me to report on? Wow. And then, I was gonna take the bottom, but you know what? I started shuffling by default, so that means I'm not done. All right, so we're gonna see what this pop-out is. I love spirit, and I love how I just make it work on the fly. Starting off with the Energy Oracle. So, you know, this is by Sandra and Taylor, and I will put this description, or excuse me, this information in the description box below, of course. But yeah, so we're going to do our usual, starting with the Energy Oracle, and then we'll pare it down with some tarot, and then we'll close out. Really, really, Spirit? You really want me to go this in? Okay. Oh my goddess. Okay. Yep. So we start off with this. I know I'm repeating myself. Sorry if I'm a little off today. I've been meditating a lot, and I feel like I'm coming back up. So with this Energy Oracle, the way it's going to go down is I'm going to interpret the cards thus far, and then I'll use some tarot to kind of clarify what is the story that Spirit really wants us to be understanding or walking away from. Since there's 4 cards here, I'm going to do it a little bit more fluid in the moment, as opposed to, you know, a stack of tarot on one, a stack of tarot on the other. So right out the gate, we have indecision. And this is card number 8. Sorry, as I get it right. So as you can see, this person's literally at a crossroads. They can go left or right. It's the same kind of decision. It is card number 8. We can see it's given that little Red Riding Hood in a dark forest with the lack of leaves. On the main tree, there are some floating leaves of fall here. Some like orange, yellow, red leaves. I know it's blurry. There's not really any on the trees. On both of the signs, it reads the word unknown. And on both of the signs, there are butterflies fluttering. So this is a transformative moment, y'all. One of the butterflies is yellow to the left and white to the right. And there's no other real pull in either direction where to go. Now, 8 is a number of strength. It's a number of abundance. It's a number of manifestation. When I saw this card, I was instantly reminded that I was just talking about Libra, and Libra's all about balance. Sometimes I think I've heard things, correct me if I'm wrong, to my astrologer friends out there, or Libras, but I heard sometimes Libras can struggle to make a decision. That sometimes because they're so wonderful at understanding different perspectives, the different variables at hand with the decision, sometimes it could become analysis paralysis, right? Especially because, they're an air sign, which is all about the mind, the mental plane, the mental state. So they're pretty adept in that area, but obviously they can overwhelm themselves. It's kind of like, turning your powers against you, so to speak. So essentially, if a Libra isn't well, or any of us, of course, but when we aren't very well grounded and we don't have our proper level of balance, we struggle even more with our indecision, because if we're not balanced, we're not connected really to our highest self and to our heart as easily. So we often then we get caught in the sphere of the mind trying to weigh out a decision as opposed to going inward. And I think that's going to be a great segue moving forward. All right, so I'm going to pocket this one over here for a bit. I probably will use tarot to clarify this indecision card to get a little bit more specific. But let me keep telling the story as it's coming through, and then we'll take it from there. So building off of this, when I was saying like needing to go inward to gain the clarity on how to make a decision, connecting with our heart space, I do find it so interesting that the next card was going to be card number 33, Door to Romance, and this is a going inward kind of card, because here we see, pardon me, I don't know what it is where you have like spatial dyslexia, like you can't work with mirrors and cameras, but I've always had this from a young age, so it always takes me forever. But here's the Door to Romance, so card number 33. 33 is a master number, right? So when we get 3, typically I think of like, divine trinity. I think of going beyond duality, breaking the binary. So it's like unity consciousness, Christ consciousness. Like it's not just separated only into masculine and feminine. It's like everything and nothing. It is a magical number. Everyone says 3 times a charm. You say a spell or word sometimes 3 times to seal it, to cast the times, knocking on wood, you name it. 3 is just one of those superpower, well, all numbers really are, but it's one of those superpower numbers that really helps bring a certain level of togetherness and putting things into place. And we have, it's a 3-3, so that comes out to a 6. 6 for me, as you all know, is a big relationship number in my world. Like that is one that I often associate with relationships, partnerships, with self as well as others. But it's a lot about relationships and harmony and balance in regard to our relationships. So how are we making sure we are getting along, or we are connecting, we're resonating, we're vibing with others, or not? So Door to Romance, 6, partnerships. I mean, to me, this is pretty clear that what's likely happening is that there's some romantic energies or opportunities kind of brewing underneath the surface. Somebody is wanting love to kind of flow into them, to kind of warm them up, to kind of bring some passion. So somebody's either really desiring that, or somebody was desiring that on a more low-key or subconscious level, and then something happened, or someone came along and kind of triggered that, or something triggered this desire to spark back up. I know it's a weird and tough time. A lot of people are like, what's happening, with the like the social distancing, like how are people going to date, how are they going to flirt, people are getting really creative. And also during this time, like for some people this is the last thing they want, but for others it's highlighting their desire for romance and love, you know. So if you're feeling that, it's all good. One, no judgment. It's perfectly normal. I've been feeling that myself, even out here, while also still recognizing I want to do a lot more work on me. Oh, I think it did the switch of the clock. Whoops. So, the one thing to note though, this is a heart, right? It's inside of a cage in a cupboard, or something that looks like a hidden cupboard or wardrobe that was behind a curtain, even in like either a bedroom or a boudoir. I say that just because of, what do you call that little, like there's a little bench there, you know, just one of those benches you put in a bedroom where you like would sit for a couple seconds maybe while you put on your shoes or take off your earring, but it's kind of like an accessory sitting piece. It's not like one where I picture, you know, setting up and having tea and having a novel, because there's like no back support, right? But I bring up the layers and levels aspect of this is to say, so this heart was likely going through a healing period, or that kind of had that retreat energy. And now it's kind of like the brightness of a new day. The heart has had time to heal, to replenish itself. Like the fields are lush, well watered in this card. There's like this beautiful little pond over here. The heart has literally like floating hearts, energetic hearts coming off of it, out of it. Some of it even looks like butterflies fluttering out of the heart. There's this big, I know you can't see it, but there's a keyhole on the heart and there's a key to the left. So to me, the key is in plain sight. This heart, this love is here for the taking. But somebody just has to put in enough work to go in and get it. To go in and integrate it. To go and experience, to go on the journey, to follow the path also. For some of y'all, like these hearts that are floating, like they're all the way down on the ground. To me, these are kind of like a trail. So also it's kind of like, if someone's been leaving you like hints, flirtations, things of that nature, like I'm not saying like do the most or rush it, but if you look at it and start to follow the trail, someone or something might be leading you down a path towards loving them. You know what I'm saying? Like, and this is a pathways card. This is some indecision. So some of y'all may be questioning about, should I pursue this romantic opportunity? Is this the right time? Is this a good one? Some of y'all are really thinking about that. Yeah. So we're going to come back. We're going to use tarot, don't worry. So then we have appreciation over here, card number 15. This comes to another 6, so we have 2 6s next to each other. And this one, to me, appreciation, this is the card all about the attitude of gratitude. Taking the time to stop and smell the flowers, smell the roses. You know, here we have a very posh lady. Sorry. I'm like the worst at doing this with my right hand, too. There we go. So we have a posh lady stopping to smell some flowers. Now, she looks very well dressed whenever I see this card, and she's wearing like a nice green with a little orange, very earth tones. So to me, I don't know, I'm getting very like Queen of Pentacles and or Empress energy off of her, as well, or even Nine of Pentacles, you know, the figure in the garden who's like living their very best abundant life. So that's what I'm getting off of Homegirl over here. She's smelling the flowers, taking it all in. To the left of the card, things will look a little bit more dark, a little bit more gray. To the right is the bright light coming in, illuminating, shining forward, showing more flowers to smell, to kind of appreciate, you know what I'm saying? What she tells me is just the importance of the attitude of gratitude. To take the time to really be aware of all of the abundance and the fertility right in front of our face. And also, like, if we're worried, if it's our choice, where we can either focus on scarcity or we can focus on abundance as well. She could look to the left side of this card and kind of be worried or looking at the lack of big, bold, beautiful flowers there, looking a little bit more like brush, or maybe if she stares at the clouds, being like, oh, it's so dark, it's so gray. But if she's looking to the right, she's embracing the right, shifting her perspective, taking in the bigger picture, the full scene. She's seeing what's being illuminated by this divine white light. All of these boundless flowers, these fragrant flowers, this beautiful garden. She's like, I have the light and I have the dark, and I'm grateful for all of it. I have all of it. I am everything. Wow, that's the first time I really said that with this card on that level. So for me, pardon me. Telling you a lot today. I'm feeling, based off of this card and this card right here, what's going on with this one, and I apologize why I keep slowing up. I think it's because I'm feeling pulled in the different directions that are coming off of the card with that indecision we opened up with. But what I'm getting, oh wow, there's my mouth right there. But what I'm getting is so here's the thing. I feel like there's a big draw and a curiosity about the door to romance, wanting to experience some deeper interpersonal connections. However, there's hesitation, and there's a little bit of concern about is this in alignment with my path and my right direction? I feel like some of y'all, even if you're not feeling fully in perhaps the Empress and or Queen of Pentacles energy, I feel like a lot of you all have been doing more work and more practices lately to express gratitude, to express appreciation, to be in this state where you're counting your blessings. You're really doing your best not to focus on this wintry, rougher terrain or situation, for the adversities you're dealing with. Like you're trying to stay focused on the color, the color, the beautiful plant life, the things that are here, that have grown, letting that inspire you and really moving forward. And you really, I feel like you just don't want to take a step back. I feel like there's a desire for love and romance. It's there, but there's a concern about, will this get in the way of my thriving? Will this get in the way of my path? Is this going to take me off course? Is this going to be a detour? Is this going to be the right direction to move? Maybe you're feeling like, okay, one direction is me doing me, the other one is me following the door to romance. Maybe you're feeling like it's a harsh split, there's no overlap or space for both of those in decision. And I think that's why the bottom of the deck, you have the yin and the yang. So you have 22. So this is all about balance. Oh wow, and right on top of the goddess of the moon. So if we're talking about a lunar reading, here we go. So for many of y'all, this is a time to really get balanced. Balancing out your masculine and your feminine energies. You're giving and receiving. Active, receptive. That is sun and moon right there. It's interesting because, this yellow is reminding me of the yellow butterfly. This white is reminding me of the moon, the white butterfly on this side. I'm sorry, the energies. Wow. Yeah, I'm feeling slow today. And you know what? That's okay. Because I'd rather be slow than just rushing it. So what's come through for me, and I apologize that I'm synthesizing so much. So first I want to congratulate and uplift you all, because you are doing really great things. I feel there's a lot of progress on your journey. And I believe, this is the bottom of the deck, you're doing a lot of work to really balance out your energies, to keep things, like, I think you're tuning in more into your own waves and cycles of your energy and how to ride the currents of energy and how to appreciate the journey. Like, I know that came out in recent readings. It comes out frequently. But I think a lot of y'all have taken that to heart, right? And now you're kind of like, okay, I see an opportunity, or I feel an opportunity, or I'm being invited to pursue an opportunity, but does this serve me? Will this take me off my path? And the thing is, you can walk a middle path. You can have a balance of energies. You can have a complementary energy or person join you and on your journey in life as well. You know, like, sometimes when we think of romantic partnerships, we put so much weight and so much energy on it. We're like, oh my God, is this gonna like really distract me? Is this gonna take me totally off course? And now all those concerns are valid, because that definitely can and has happened to many people. However, if you approach it, especially in the beginning where you really are seeking to get to know somebody and make a friend, right? We don't let, the friends we make pretty casually just come in out of nowhere and derail us. Why have we been socialized and taught to do that when it comes to a potential love interest or romantic partner? I think you all have learned that lesson, or have been reflecting a lot on that lesson, and you're kind of in the state of appreciation and standing in your power where, like, honestly, no one is worth my peace. I don't think anyone is worth me giving up, me being able to enjoy and appreciate life. Like, I worked really hard to get here. I overcame a lot of darkness. I overcame, I am overcoming a lot of darkness, a lot of lack consciousness, or maybe even just straight up lack of resources to appreciate everything I have, everything I've got. I know this is what I have to offer right now, and I don't want to deal with anybody who either A, comes along and takes me off my course and doesn't add to my cup, or B, somebody who makes me feel, like my cup is not enough or not good enough. Like I don't want to say this is full-blown defensive energy, but there is like this pause energy where you're like, I'm loving myself, I'm feeling myself. My balance is precious. This is hard. This has taken some work for me to get to. This is also a number 22, by the way, so this is a master builder number. We know 2 is about masculine and feminine energy, about duality. It is about another balance and partnership-oriented number, with a little bit more like defined roles or energies typically in the dynamic. 2 plus 2 is 4, so that's all about stability, foundation, and structure. So that's the bottom of your deck. So I think y'all have gotten to a point where I think you are pretty, like, relatively speaking, I'm feeling like most of y'all are balanced, or at the very least very mindful about your balance, very careful and protective of it. And you're just being selective, okay, about like, whichever direction I go, how is this going to affect my stability? Like, whichever way I go, is this in my highest interest? Yeah, that's what I'm getting. All right, let's get into the tarot, because this is taking a long one today. So I appreciate your patience, dear spirit. All right, I want to do some clarifications. Need some clarification. So let's clarify the indecision card first, please and thank you. I want to clarify the indecision, because that is the crux of our challenge. Almost card. I would like a clear pop out, please and thank you, spirit. What do we need to do? Okay. What else we have to get for the indecision? Wow, and there she is. Alright, I will take... You know what, Spirit? I would like one more card, please, following this part of the story. Just one more. Thank you so much, Spirit. One more card, please, and thank you. Oh my gosh. Okay, so this is just confirming so much. And it's actually playing right into the next round of cards. So first up, we have the Four of Wands. So the Four of Wands, to me, so once again, we have a four. So remember, structure, stability, foundations. In traditional tarot, when you see Four of Wands, you usually see like a hetero couple, arms in the air, kind of celebrating, cheering in front of like their home or castle, estate. Essentially, it kind of signifies stable home life, like partnership or relationships going to the next level of commitment. Sometimes it can represent either moving in together or marriage or coming together, a bond. But there is like this passionate, exciting, next level, next layer of growth, if you will, and it provides a strong, at least it should provide a pretty good, strong structure. But either way, it's dealing with structure, and I usually think about it on the home front, or like, yeah, pretty much on the home front or closer to home. So this could affect, your job and your finances, since obviously that does deal with like how are you paying for where you live if you are in a place in life where you have to do that. But essentially, it's dealing with the things that hit closer to home, closer with the wallet, but in relation with others. Like, who are the characters that are in this home environment, or who are the characters that are providing or sustaining this job? So then we have, up next, we have the Empress. So she came out, card number 3. So the Empress is the queen of divine feminine manifestation, creativity, Mother Earth, Pachamama. Here she has, the fruits growing right there. She's so abundant. She's got bananas. She's got pomegranates. The leaves flow to and through her. She has a pineapple cap on her skull, and she has that very, like, come hither energy as well. You know what I'm saying? Like, because the Empress, sometimes it can represent, like, pregnancy and birth. Now, this could be literal, but for some people, this can mean either birthing a new idea or a new project or a new creation in addition to new life. So, and then we have a King of Cups, like right to the right of her, coming through. And here's a big king with a big cup, raised up, trophy status. He's almost looking like King Triton type vibes, like giving like a little bit of that merman realness, but like this regal touch, even though it's a very simple, minimalistic card. He's got the trophies, carrying it one-handed, full, rising up from the waves. It's like energy flowing out. It's like magical. He's got like this long beard, yet well-maintained. Long hair, no care. Like, he's giving me somebody who is emotionally aware, like spiritually aware, spiritually attuned. Yeah, so I'm like smiling hard body while I like am interpreting this and getting this energy. So that's a good sign. To me, this is playing definitely off of the romance and everything I said thus far. Like, basically what we got going on here is like Four of Wands, the Empress, King of Cups. Building off of the indecision, I feel like y'all are trying to figure out, okay, what direction am I going in my life? Do I want to give this person a chance? Will this rock my stability or foundation? Like I was saying before, when I was channeling the energy of the Empress over here with the appreciation, she's wondering, like, I'm in a pretty great place right now. Like, I'm good, yes. Are there more layers and levels do I want to build upon? Of course. Like, if this was like representing your home or something, or the beginning, like, you're like, okay, there's a lot more I need to do. We got to zhuzh this up. We got to take it to the next level. But in and of itself, celebrate the hell out of this victory. Like, in and of itself, be glad you have this rather than nothing, right? So a lot of y'all probably went through some tough-ass moments, in the wintertime, out in the dark forest, and you've gotten yourself stabilized. It's like you kind of made it to this point, and you're like, look, I'm not losing any of that. All the good stuff, the good lessons, everything I've acquired, like, I'm not going to just risk it all for some dude who wants to come through. But the thing is like, so dude does see you over here. Now the good thing, now this isn't the Emperor, which would be like the divine pairing, the level of equals, but you do have somebody coming at you with king energy, okay? So this is a big deal because the king is the top of the suit. So this is somebody who's, now cups is a suit of emotions, right? And intuition and healing. So what I'm getting is this is a man, or excuse me, not just a man, hetero stuff. Anyway, this is an individual, right? Embodying this energy of someone who is very emotionally, what's the word, tuned in, as well as pretty in control of their emotions, right? Like they're not all over the place. Like I'm gonna say he while I talk about the King of Cups on the card, but please understand that this is gender inclusive. So the King of Cups is, he's kind of coming in showing emotional maturity. Not a man who is, or individual who's shutting off their emotions, shying away from them, running away from them. This is somebody who's like, yeah, I got that, I hold space for all of it. And you know what? I love being sensitive. I love being fluid. I don't allow my emotions to just rule my life in the sense of I've abandoned logic. I've abandoned, passions. I've abandoned practicality. No. I'm just really sensitive and tuned in and tapped in, and that's how I flow. I'm getting the sense that this person is probably very spiritually connected. Maybe this is somebody who has a healing background or a spiritual background or career, or at the very least, this is someone. This is an individual who has a lot to offer. They've got a trophy right there, and they're strong, so they're one-handing that, okay? So this is somebody with a lot of emotional wisdom, maturity, somebody who has a lot of love or loving energy to give and offer, who is trying to flow towards you. And this is somebody who's king status. So this is not basic. This is not Page of Cups, okay? This is not some weak sauce. And also, if this person's making the approach and they see you as the Empress, they likely see that you already have an amazing foundation. If they're seeing you as the Empress, they already see you as an amazing manifestor, or somebody who's very attractive, very abundant, somebody who has a lot to offer, like a lot to offer. Even if you're questioning yourself, you are seen as the Empress. And you also should be embodying this Empress energy to remind you of yourself that you have this creative power, you have this creative magic. Like where you put your energy and your mind, the energy will flow. It'll happen. If you're an Empress-oriented manifestor, or you're in an Empress-oriented phase of manifestation, this is about more attraction and magnetism. The feminine way of creating is about receiving, right? So it's about embodying the feelings and the emotions and the desired state of what you want, reverberating that vibration out into the universe, and then allowing the universe to bring it to you, okay? So that's what we're dealing with over here. Yeah. All right, let's take some clarifications. I want to take some clarifications just for this side of the reading. I don't even know if I want to isolate it to one card. I think I want to just continue the story and the interpretation thus far that Spirit has rendered. Like, I feel like some of y'all are feeling like there's a decision that needs to be made between allowing yourself to open up to romance and love again, and it threatening your foundation stability, and choosing to focus just on your own personal projects. And I would say, like, really meditate and take some time and ask yourself, does it have to be this black and white? Does it have to be this extreme? Like, can you reasonably focus on being in your Empress energy and power, continuing to manifest, to build on this structure and foundation, and also hold space to get to know, the right person that's approaching you, if they are approaching you? That's what I want to know. All right, let's see. And I know this is a long one, so. Yep, okay. Continuing the story. Alright, Spirit, have just a little bit more tarot to close out the story, please and thank you. Eight of Swords. Wow, yeah, this is just confirming. more closed house, please. One more on maybe how do we break out? Yeah, there we go. Okay. I was literally gonna ask how to break out of it, and then this happens. Oh wow, okay. So bottom of the tarot deck for you is the Ace of Swords. So here's Spirit, the universe giving you a gift. Remember, aces are always blessings. Ace of Swords, many people think of Archangel Michael. I do too, I love it. But essentially, Archangel Michael, when the Ace of Swords is being brought in, this is a divine gift of clarity, truth, things coming to light, as well as being able to cut away things that do not serve you. Clearing your mental space, decluttering. It is the sword suit, so that is the mental plane. As well as if we're talking about communication, this is about having very clear, blunt, to the point, like no games, no bullshit, no holding back, right? Bottom of the deck energy is Ace of Swords. So clarity is being offered to you on a universal level. Clarity is being given to you by Spirit. So that means you need to take, you need to make the space to then take and receive this sword, this information that's being gifted and given to you. So if you're feeling stuck and at a crossroads for indecision, you've got to pause and you've got to change your perspective. That message was confirmed when these cards popped out. Right next to each other, we have the Nine of Wands and the Eight of Swords. So with the Nine of Wands, to the left, you can see we have a character who's guarded. They have a wall of wands around them. They have one that they're holding diagonally, like ready to defend themselves if need be. Even though it's minimal, it's a pretty somber card, right? And then the Eight of Swords to the right, we have literally a shroud of swords, like just all around them. Pyramids in the background, lots of purple on this card, lots of meditative energy. Even levitating. And even the way they break out the swords, like there's the four above and the four below. So I feel like that separation of the four is significant. This idea of stabilizing structure, stability, foundation, like I'm feeling the four like for our higher chakra, so our mental, spiritual, and transdimensional planes and abilities, versus the lower is like our lower chakras, our roots, our foundation, very 3D, very physical needs, physical world, that sort of gig. So essentially what's happening here for y'all is it's time to change your perspective. It is time to break beyond this wall and this fence. If you want the clarity, if you want the change. Because sometimes the Eight of Swords, we can be in that state and we forget that we are actually keeping ourselves in that circle or that shield, that shroud of thought. Like we become a prisoner of our own minds and we forget our own power. And it's like, wait, hold up. Like I'm making all these thoughts and swords levitate around me. I'm boxing myself in. I can relax, take off the blindfold, put down my arms, like if this character was levitating it, like put down the arms, like calm my telekinesis, and really decide, okay, what's serving me anymore? Same thing with the Nine of Wands. It's like, do you need all those wands? Do you need to remain in this spot? Like, okay, it's good if you needed to defend yourself, take a pause, catch your breath, reflect, appreciate on the journey on where you've been, you know what I'm saying? But now it's kind of like, okay, moving forward, what do you want to do? What are you going to do? In order to navigate that, we had all these cards. I wanted one more, but to close it out, we had Major Arcana, the Strength card, so another 8. So we have at least 3 8s in this reading. We have a 5 of Wands, and then we have another 5, but we have 5 the Hierophant. So I'm getting a lot of 5s and a lot of 8s. 5s, are turning points, transitions, changes, tweaks. And 8, I already talked about manifestation, but also abundance and strength. I'm getting the sense that, look, there's a lot of change happening right now. Y'all are at this crossroads. You are at the 5. You are at the turning point. You're trying to figure out which direction to go. You're dealing with some internal conflict. Your wands are all crossed in these different directions. You don't know where's the bottom, where's the top, like, you know, where this is coming from, like, you know, there's a lot going on there. Five of Wands usually does represent squabbles, confrontation, conflicts. It can represent other people, it can represent internal. Based off of your reading thus far and just the way I usually approach it, I'm feeling it's a lot of internal energy, a lot of internal being pulled, like, okay, where am I going, what direction? So you're being called, and that's why this is an 8. Like, the fact that these two together are just emphasizing, like, in order to overcome this and figure out which way to go, it's going to take some strength. Like, you're going to have to tap into, maybe call in a totem animal, a totem spirit, channel the tiger energy if that resonates with you. But you're going to have to know when to pounce, when to strike. And in order to do that, like, the tiger knows when to leap by being in touch with their instincts, you know, connected with their intuition, watching and following the energetic flowing current and knowing the right moment to strike. And that level of awareness, in like that level of intuitive awareness and discernment as to when to strike, that message got amplified for me by the Hierophant, because, you know, we have this big third eye right at the top of this pyramid. To me, this is the call to make sure we're developing all of our chakras, because we need to be balanced. But, you know, in addition to focusing on our third eye, our discernment, our wisdom, our spiritual awareness, our intuition, our instincts, as well as developing our faith. Like, Hierophant is also about, to me, it's like, what activities that we're doing consistently that build our faith and allow us to ascend, to become enlightened. Like, I know it's blurry, but there are steps in that pyramid, and it's showing you layers and levels, like going up. It's going towards the third eye, right? So this is signifying the journey, the ascension process, or you can think about us leveling up. It's like we start low and we have to keep going higher and higher. And at times that means things are going to get steeper, or the challenges possibly could be more intense. But we also have to remind ourselves, look at where we've started with a whole bunch more surface area, versus as we go up and up, we're getting closer and closer. Like, the challenges, it's a matter of mindset and perspective. The challenges could seem more difficult or more steep, but when we think about all that we've already overcome or done before, and remind ourselves of our strength, remind ourselves of our power, you know what I'm saying? Get the bigger picture, which I was talking about with that full moon. Then it's kind of like, oh wait, like, I can do this. I have done this, or I am doing this. I am moving forward. I am strong. I know when to strike. I know when to pounce. I can manifest whatever I want. Yeah, I feel like a lot of, like, what's happening here is, like, romance is trying to come through for you and is flowing towards you. Somebody sees you in a very positive, Empress-oriented energy and light. But right now, I think many of y'all, at least in the men, like, are focused on yourself, your situation, like, what you want to do and what you need to do. And thus, you're a little bit closed. Alright, so we had the camera die because, you know, today has been a longer video with more rants and rambles while I was processing everything. So thank you all again for your patience. You're the best. And thanks to those of you who have stuck in for this reading. I really hope it's giving you some confirmation and clarity. So we're going to get ready to jump into the final oracles to close this out, because it's already been going on for a long time. I think you all are pretty much getting the point, and the message here, just to make sure I wrapped it up, is being careful about how guarded and how many barriers are you self-imposing that are blocking you from receiving this romance that is trying to make its way to you, that is this King of Cups energy that's flowing towards you. Definitely be in your state of knowing and humble confidence of that Empress energy. Be in a state of gratitude, appreciation. Continue going after what you want, manifesting your goals. Like, I do feel like you all are making great moves, like, and I feel like you've been making strides with your balance. Like, I feel like it's very important to encourage, recognize, and praise you all right now. So, you know, please don't take this reading as super heavy. I think the biggest thing is just you're in this indecision, but your environment is affecting what you believe is possible and what you can see. So I feel like you need to shift your energy, shift your perspective. Now, obviously, if you have any access to make a physical locational change, even like temporarily, if you can travel at this time, depending on the regulations of where you're at, particularly getting out into nature, whether that's a backyard or taking a walk around the block with social distancing rules respected. If you are able to do that, I know every place and locality is a little different. Worst case scenario, if you can't, but you are accessing the internet and media, please seek out nature-based sounds, meditations, or do a guided meditation that takes you someplace else. I feel like there's this invitation to gain this clarity, but you kind of got to do something different. You got to shift out of the normal, okay? Because the normal and what you've had going on, I feel like it's keeping you in a little bit of this internal conflict and back and forth, which is why you're stuck in the indecision. And it's not like you got to like break free. You got to do something different. You got to get out of the mold. And you also do need to have, a level of your spiritual awareness and faith and discipline and conviction. Like that needs to be here. You may want to work with people of faith if that appeals to you. If you are a member of a community of faith, that could be a place of great support. If you are a spiritual individual who's not religious, tapping more into your spiritual resources, your tribe, calling in your guides. I say that every video because it's important, but they are here for you. They just need the invitation. I'm just feeling that we are being invited to balance, whatever we conceive to be our conventional methods and ways of displaying and activating and triggering and deploying strength, right? Paired with this building of and accessing of faith. Because it's going to take our faith in our highest self and our greatest potential, faith in that we can have a truly abundant and successful life to get to the next level of appreciation, the next level of resources that we want. I feel like there's a desire for this romance or love to come in. I think now it's about you having the strength to be vulnerable and not confuse vulnerability with weakness, to be strong and not let past circumstances dictate how the present and the future is going to play out. Do not let your past haunt you and keep you trapped, okay? It's okay to learn lessons and be aware and be discerning, but now you're having to learn how to be a new kind of strong. A strong where you let down your guard and you don't have so many, swords, wands, and shields blocking you off from people. However, you still wear your crown. You still show that you're abundant. You still show that you're wise. You still show that you are all of this. Because understand, to be an empress, she's also gone through a lot of stuff. She's had to overcome a lot, okay? Not just anybody can just be a queen or a successful queen, let alone an empress. An empress builds, rules, sustains empires, okay? So just remember that. This empress is not weak by any means, but in her greatest state, look at the level of vulnerability she's giving and getting. She's basically got, her tetas all out there, with a little fun bra. Don't know if there's anything covering the cootie cat. She's got bananas in one hand, a pomegranate in the other, a pineapple cap on top. She's sitting on this, she is this literal mountain of beautiful, lush, I don't know, she's looking comfortable AF under this twilight sky with these leaves. And it's just she's got that hump come hither, and it's just don't you want to taste this pomegranate? Don't you want to taste this sweet? This fruit? She's just giving all that. So in her, honestly, the Empress can be quite a beautifully sexual and sensual card. Empowered, sensual and sexual. So it's up to you to if you want to be in this level of grace and confidence, of being in total control of herself, or if you're still in a state of appreciation, gratitude, but you can see how homegirl over here is much more prim, proper, that sort of thing. And if I were to just contrast the images, because both of them gave me Empress energy, at the end of the day, she's definitely in a state of gratitude, but she has a little bit more guardedness or apprehension than Homegirl does over here. A little bit of apprehension, right? So my whole thing is like, be open. Be open if this is what you want, because it is flowing here to you. There's no need to rush. And use your strength. Don't view using your strength as losing your strength. Do not be afraid to be powerful. And understand that for many parts of your journey right now, your faith, your belief, your intention is going to need to be stronger. And it's going to need to be longer lasting in that strength, perhaps before you see all of the changes that you want in the physical. Like the strength is going to overcome this challenge. The faith will overcome that challenge. You put the two of them together, though, they block that Five of Wands out. They cancel that out. Like, you can overcome this. You can get over this. You don't need it. They can block all of this out. You just got to be strong. You got to keep the faith, and you got to connect with spirit to kind of keep level, keep balance, and gain that clarity. All right, so now let's get into Les Vampires by Lucy Cavendish. Let's do our shadow work. And please be sure to leave comments down below on like what's resonating, what you're reflecting on. I know I'm doing this lunar reading after the fact, just because I feel called to, and I really want to be disciplined and not fall off the habit. Yet, you know, we can it's still, right now we can, it's still very close to the full moon, so we can tap into the energy, but B, with intention, you can tap into full moon energies and themes, or you can even reminisce on the past and be like, where were you at this time? Oh, wow. Okay. You know, it's so interesting because I'm pretty sure because I just checked it, but in the new moon reading, the last new moon reading I did for new moon in Aries, the shadow work card I got from this deck was faith. And so it is really interesting to me now here in this deck, I have card number 37 and I have the religion card, okay? Very similar religion card. And this one says canon, rules, commandments, okay? And the Hierophant and the religion card can kind of like play off each other. In traditional tarot, the Hierophant essentially looks like the Pope, Le Pape. I just love the way I saw that on a French tarot card one time. But yeah, essentially, that is interesting that they're coming in the same row. So when I get the stuff of religion, in the inclusive sense, religion for me does go back to the need for faith. Or the connection to our faith, right? In this card, it's definitely talking a lot about religion, canon, rules, commandments. Okay, so I'm getting a couple things. So for some of y'all, this feeling of indecision about where to go, what to do next, what you're allowing in, I'm getting a couple different things. This is a general reading, so take what resonates, leave what doesn't. I feel like for some of y'all, you're kind of wondering, your question about which path and direction to take is running into some conflict with your religious beliefs. Some of y'all are reflecting, okay, what is serving you versus not, or you are thinking about going in a certain direction in your life and you're wondering, will my religion approve of that, or will my current understanding, my current interpretation, my current practices and habits regarding this religion, will they be in alignment with that or not? And I think if you're in the indecision phase, you're potentially thinking it won't or it can't. For some of y'all, the religious aspect with this decision in the door to romance could also be, if you are like, team LGBT, hey fellow LGBTQ folk, but if you're like myself, many people in the community who do have religious experiences, backgrounds, teachings, upbringings, what have you, they do come with certain rules or commandments that would make you believe that your love and your romance attractions, if you will, are not allowed or not pious or not approved, if you will. And you're trying to reconcile that. Or perhaps even if you've let go of that religion, at the end of the day, you know, if we grow up, depending on how firm a certain upbringing or belief was, even if we're not actively practicing it, we are still haunted by some of the judgments, by some of the pain inflicted upon us in the past by, you know, people who use religion in a way to harm us rather than to love us and to include us. I am not saying that happens with every religious person, no way, shape, or form, not disrespecting anyone's faith. I have friends and loves of all faiths, beliefs. I just want us to really, you know, not ignore the fact that there are certain practices of religion that discriminate against people. And that's just a fact. Not all, just some. And we have to acknowledge that for people of the LGBTQ community, we have dealt with and we do deal with a lot of this depending on, you know, where we're at in the world and where we're at in our own individual lives. So those are some of the initial things that came off from the indecision part, okay? Now, so with those, the thing about it is this is going to take some healing and reflective work. You may want to pair up with somebody that you love and trust who is either in the place in life or on the life path that you want to take, who also perhaps either shares a similar experience with religion, who has overcome it, like essentially needing a little bit of peer support and validation could go a long way for you at this time. If that's some of your indecision and a little bit of your love block or whatever is blocking you moving forward on your path and really taking your foundation and your Empress energy to the next level. So that's part of it. The other part of it, because this is mirroring this card over here, and I was talking about faith and keeping the faith, some of this is for you all to really create your own set of personal canon rules and commandments. What are you doing to build and keep the faith in yourself? What are you doing to build and keep the faith and belief in yourself? What are you doing to take yourself to the next level? What are you doing to treat your life like a moving prayer? What are you doing to make yourself essentially the Pope or the highest divine authority of your life? Like, she is carrying that crown with a cross on top. She has like this very clearly she's a very important figure, religiously speaking. And she's not basic if she's carrying essentially this is a religious cap, a religious hat, but it has, that regality or that energy of kind of you could think of a crown. You know what I'm saying? Crown, so crown chakra work right there. And I do love the fact that she was under the Empress and they have similar colors. Right? And she's got these beautiful little bulbs in her hair. She's giving all this red and green, all this passionate abundance. Flowing, and she's got the blue, so that spiritual connectedness, the throat chakra, the speech, the creative expression, the gold, which is just super protective, super luxurious, illuminating, very angelic. A lot of angel healing involves channeling a golden ray of light, golden shields, gold being one of the strongest elements here on the earth, even, as well as the most precious, right? So what are your precious practices? What are you doing, yes, to be your own Pope, to be your own Empress, to, where is your crown? Where is your crown right now? And why is she not wearing it? Why are you not wearing it? You have all the materials, you have all the resources, everything's right there. It's literally in your hands. You likely know what to do with it. Why is she not wearing it? And there's a keyhole on this too. And so if you think she puts this on her head, that keyhole is at the top of her crown. There's information and secrets to be downloaded from the divine. There are doors that become unlocked by connecting with the divine, by holding the space with the divine, by performing our rituals, our ritualistic connections with the divine, with spirit, with our highest self, with our best self. If we view this Empress energy and archetype as, a part of our inner being or something that we need to connect with and sync up with vibrationally, how are we opening the door to connect with that Empress? How are we letting the manifestative powers and inspiration ideas that the Empress offers us, that level of expertise and mastery, how are we letting it in or not? So for me, this shadow work right here with religion is about you developing your faith-based practices to be your next best self. How are you being faithful to yourself, to your path, to your journey? Like, essentially, are you being devout? Are you being religious to your own excellence? And I feel as though if you do that, and if you remember, if you put that crown back on your head and you remember who you are, I think you also will be able to embrace this level, this type of vulnerability that the Empress is serving. You won't have to be as guarded as Knight of Wands, or as trapped as Eight of Swords, as stuck as indecision. You just need to get back into sync with yourself. You need to go back into your own church, your own temple of yourself, your strong foundation of you. And this is a 3 plus a 7, so that adds up to a 10. Remember, the 10 at the end of a tarot suit, it's an ending. It is the deep recognition. If it's positive, it's a celebration. If it's not so positive, it's more like a mourning and release and that sort of energy. But we're coming to a 10. So I feel like your next chapter, what you're being geared up for, is basically saying yo, wake up, remember who you are. Recognize your power in your faith, and have that faith in yourself. Wear your crown, own your skills, own your abilities. And if you're lost, go back to your prayers, go back to your meditations, go back to your foundations. Yes, your spiritual foundations, see? Your baseline, and tap back into that. Remember, you need that. Your faith is giving you a foundation. You need a strong faith of foundation to even reach the ascension, the next level, however the hell you want to call it. Wherever you're going that you believe is going up or next level, you need to have a strong foundation, and you need to be religious about it. I'm not saying literally become religious and convert to one of these major religions and whatever. No, I'm saying be religious about yourself. Go hard, go off. Yep, that's what I'm getting. So now let's get into our Starseed. Close that out. Yeah. Alright, so we have the Starseed Oracle by Rebecca Campbell. So let's do this just to see what our Starseed ancestors and allies and tribes have to say in regards to this full moon in Libra. The full moon in Libra, based off of this reading, in addition to everything else I was reading above as well, this is a time for a lot of reflection, clearly. There's a lot of things where you need to just sit and be in the energy and be in the space. That's what I'm realizing now, why I was so stuttering or why I was so slow, why this may seem a little bit slower moving, a little bit dragged out, me not caring about the time. Yes, there's room for me to improve with efficiency, but I'm also just kind of no, because this Libra is balancing out the scales, think about it. Even when you're in the store, right, and you throw your fruits or your fresh produce in the basket to get weighed, it takes a couple seconds, and sometimes it really does teeter-totter, especially when we have the old school scales, the analogs. It takes a little bit of balancing back and forth to really kind of get to the level of clarity to understand what the hell is going on, or what are the variables we're working with. So I'm feeling that slowdown as evident through this reading. I can feel this is a balance. This is a whole balance energy thing here, starting at the top, this needing for balancing. It's kind of hold the space for it, make the space for it, and understand it takes a little bit, but it's because you're really trying to figure out, okay, what are your foundations? What are your tenets? What are your principles that you really are building and leveling up off of? There we go. Building up off of. So, yeah, there is just this need for like this pause and this reflection, for this balance to even be able to legit happen. Like, I keep getting the image of thinking about if you're like, I don't know, you spin a coin or something, and you know how like, or a spinning top, and it's spinning, and then it's starting to slow down, but then you realize, okay, it's still taking forever to fully stop spinning because I had a really, really good spin. And you're like trying to understand it while it's still in motion. And you're studying it and you're getting it there, but then that's important, but there's also like, okay, now I've spun out a little bit. And now I've got to really enjoy the full pause and reflect on the full pause. And understand, is that where you want to be spinning your wheel, so to speak, anymore. Yeah, these structures, these foundations are huge. And definitely connecting with that crown chakra, as well as the third eye. Please and thank you, Starseeds. May we have one card to close out the reading. Please and thank you. Please and thank you, Spirit. May we have one card to close out the reading. Oh wow, we have two. Wow, there we go. Wow, okay. That's so wild. You know, I'm going to take the bottom of the deck for this one just because I feel so inspired. I'll come back. So wow, these two cards look hella similar. So that's something right there. So the first one out we got was perspective. None of this matters. Zoom out. Common ground. And then over here on the right we have the void. Stop. Embrace. Winter. Great cosmic womb. So for some of y'all, you have been... So for those of y'all, like, so we're beginning with this indecision and you're feeling like you don't know where you're going, what's going on. A, this is the spiritual confirmation that this is definitely divinely guided. You are exactly where you're supposed to be, so don't feel like you need to force or rush anything. That's good advice anytime, but especially right now. Like this phase, this balancing moment, this Libra needing to recalibrate the scales to figure out where you're going, it is very divinely guided. This one being perspective, this is emphasizing literally what I said over here about changing your perspective, getting out of the box. So this card is just saying to zoom out. It's like a zoomed out picture of Earth. And that one of the key themes of the full moon in Libra I keep talking about, and I saw on some of the posts, is that we need to focus on the big picture and be really mindful. Okay, what are we doing? How are we spending our time? How are we spending our energy? Is it serving us? Is it taking us in a direction that's in alignment with, you know, our highest self or our greatest fulfillment, our soul missions, divine purposes, things of that nature? Really feeling that out, and if it's not, it's time to make a tweak. But you've got to like get out of your comfort zone a bit. At the very least, definitely shift your focus. Like you can't be in the vibration and mindset of a problem and then expect to find a solution right then and there. Like you have to be in the frequency of allowing and attracting solutions to kind of let them in. Like, you know, when you're really, really upset and frustrated, it's very hard for you to improve the situation in that moment because you're so consumed by those negative emotions, you can't see your way out, or you can't see otherwise. Or even if you start attempting to and you get glimpses, because you're so heavy in that low vibe, you find every reason to doubt, every reason to question the alternative path that you could have just started creating, if you will, or somebody could be suggesting or putting to you. So you need to definitely shift out of where you're at. The void It's just emphasizing the power of pause, the fact that we need to take, to me, the void looks like it's even more zoomed out of the earth, like even further away, given a black hole or swirling energy. It does talk about the cosmic womb, divine feminine energy, going into the receptive space, going into that divine feminine void. The Empress is the divine feminine manifestation, like Mother Nature personified. So also it could be calling you back into your creative void, the void of the earth, the void that spirit gives us to gain new ideas, to recharge and replenish ourselves as well. This is the winter seat. This card says embrace winter. It's not winter anymore. We're coming into spring. Some of us are taking a little bit more time to transition into the spring energy, which is fine because everything is in divine timing. I think this is more so saying, like, if you feel like you're in a black hole right now, if you feel like you're in a void or whatever, pause and then flip the perspective. Zoom, change it, flip it up, and then get ready to go in and move on. Like, shift the perspective, shift the energy, and you're good to go. Because once you start making moves out of this void, remember, you are the Empress. You are abundant. Your creations are fire. Your creations are lit. You have amazing things to offer, amazing fruits to bear. Like, the things that you are going to birth, the things that are going to come out of your void, whether, you know, literal or creative, depending on, you know, your abilities and where you're at in life, what you are going to create, what you are going to manifest is going to be amazing. You just gotta shift your perspective if you've been feeling a little bit stuck. You can't keep trying to make the decision from right where you're at, or where you've been. Something's gotta give. That's the message. I don't need to belabor it anymore. And lastly, bottom of this deck is called Soul Gifts and Training. It's time to step up. Wow. This is, there we go. This is emphasizing the fact that you are at a cosmic doorway here. Look at this galactic portal. Spirit is guiding you to a new direction. And it's saying soul gifts and training. It's time to step up. That means, like, this is the level up. This is the level up we're talking about. You are being called. Like, if you don't even identify as being in the Empress energy just yet, like, if this is something that you really wanted, but you're kind of like, oh, I don't know, that's not me, I'm not good enough. Like, no girl, no sir, no person, no beautiful individual of all gender identities, expressions. Like, no. You have this potential. You are this. You've got this. Spirit is leading you into leveling up, into believing this, feeling this, embracing this, carrying yourself from this place more around the clock, okay? And there's all these hieroglyphics surrounding it as well. If any of y'all have been called on a journey or a pilgrimage recently, or if you've been considering developing your talents or gifts, or a certain, like, I don't know, a certain course, a certain webinar, a certain training opportunity just keeps coming up for you, really pay attention to that. Particularly, you know, obviously tune into your heart space first, see if it's emotionally, and then see if it's spiritually, like, resonating with you, as opposed to just, like, consumer habit. Something I gotta watch out for, because, you know, Leo rising. Heyo. But essentially, if you're feeling like there are some level up opportunities, take them, is what I would say. Because you're in your Empress energy, or at the very least, you are very close to being there. The thing is like, other people already, like, detect this around you. This is why this King of Cups is flowing towards you. Like, there's a reason, and technically, the Empress is above the league of the King of Cups. Now, not to say here in the 3D we need to be, like, you know, all rude and extra, but do know your worth and know your value, and understand you don't need to settle for anyone who's bringing you anything less than that emotional maturity that I mentioned, as well as, like, bringing something to the table. But essentially, if people are already kind of, like, clocking your Empress energy, and Spirit's already set you up for that, or if you've been embodying this, but then maybe recently you kind of had, like, you got knocked down a little bit, you're a little hesitant, a little setback, it happens. Just understand that this is your energy, this is your birthright, this is here for you, and Spirit's kind of highlighting it and saying, like, I'm taking you to the next level. I need you to be an empress. I need you to lead with strength. Have your strong foundations of faith with your resources. I've got your back. Be in that state of gratitude and appreciation. Like, I see all the work that you've done. I've seen all the balance that you're cultivating. I see you even mindfully taking the pause and the space to balance things out, to be considerate, to figure out where to go. I'm here as spirit, as your spiritual team, you guys, trying to bless you with the resources. And I'm calling you in certain directions. I'm calling you to certain doors to walk through so that you know which path to go down, so that you don't have to stay here for long. I honor the work and I honor your progress, and I want to let you know I have more support for you, and I have more gifts and more knowledge as well. Like, your awakening and your ascension is going to a next level. And that makes sense because, like I said, full moons are all about manifestation anyway. And we also had the 444 portal, which came in with massive ascension, awakening, activation, whichever word resonates with you, as well as angelic energies, spiritual team and guidance energies, to really allow all of us to be getting to that next level of self, that best level of self, to really be master manifestors and co-creators. So yeah. All right, so I'm going to end it here because I've already been ranting for far too long. And I just want to thank you, kitties, again so much. Please be sure to comment down below. Let me know your thoughts, as well as to like, share, and subscribe. Every one of those actions goes a long way. I'm setting a goal where let's really work hard to hit 50 subscribers this month of April 2020. We're at 20 right now. I know it's in the grand scheme of other channels, it sounds small, but within 1 month, that's a big leap. So let's really go for 50 subscribers. Be sure to share this with your friends, family, all your loved ones. And let me know what you think. Let me know of what you would like a future reading on, as well as how is this playing out in your life? What is resonating for you? All right, thanks again. This is Dil Divine with Abundant Insights, and I'll talk soon. Love ya, and meow.